Hey guys, happy Monday. It's actually Tuesday now. 12:14 my time. I've been going all day crazy. And I just got back from doing a 10-mile run and I showered, so my face is red. The lighting in here is not that great. But what can I say? This is not Fox News, so I don't have somebody to do my makeup for 4 hours before I come on the air. Anyway, the question I decided to answer today was why recover? Because I hear everybody talking about recovery, why do it? That's a very good question, and really honestly, when you're in the middle of an eating disorder, it's a valid question because you're getting something from your eating disorder. If we didn't get something from our eating disorders, we wouldn't do it. That's just human behavior 101. We do things for a reason. Everything we do has a reason behind it. So, I was just thinking back to when I started recovery, and I kind of had, the same feelings, and really probably the only reason why I did start recovery is because I have a family. I have a lot of people that were worried about me, and I could see that it was starting to interfere with my life, but it was interfering and I was getting so distorted that in some ways I didn't care that it was interfering, which is a really scary place to be because, I have a successful career, and to throw all that away to my eating disorder, that right there is a big reason. So when you're in the middle of your eating disorder or you haven't made that step towards, you're just, thinking about maybe, why recover? And that's okay. It's an okay place to be. You are at where you're at. So you shouldn't feel guilty for being there because you have to start somewhere. There's different stages of change, and when you have to start assimilating the information before you can begin to change. And even when you do decide to recover, it takes a lot of preparation. In fact, for me, probably the first 4 to 6 months of therapy was just preparing my brain to be in a mindset of recovery, because I don't know if I was even really in recovery for the first 3 months. I didn't make significant changes in my behavior. I was pretty severe. I was really, it was a bad enough situation that I probably should have been in an inpatient setting, but luckily I had a great therapist that was willing to work with me very slowly, and although she was blunt, but I was also, I'm kind of blunt too, and I just say things like it is, and I don't really hide things. So I went to therapy and to my dietitian's appointment, and I would just tell him exactly what I had done that week, whether it, good, bad, ugly, improved or not improved. And that's kind of what you have to do. You have to get yourself to a point where if you decide to go into treatment, that you take treatment and you make it yours. You're not doing it to impress or please others. You are where you're at, and the more honest you can be with yourself where you're at, even if you're saying why recover, at least that's honest. It's better to say that to yourself than to say, oh yeah, I want to recover, but I have this excuse and this excuse and this excuse, because you'll never get to a point where you can answer that question. You have to be able to answer the question before you can make that link. And if you're always lying to yourself or lying to others or making up excuses, you will never reach that point where you can question recovery. Questioning is a good thing, I think, because through questioning it leads to self-discovery and helping us find answers. So I can tell you what my reasons for recovery are. I can say that it honestly really took me probably almost a full year to get to a point where I could see the benefits, actually see in my life that the small, tiny changes had made huge benefits in huge strides in my life, and that being in recovery and making those small mindset changes over time was actually leading to a better life and a better place for me. It's kind of, there's an effect, they call it the butterfly effect, that in weather, that if you make a calculation and you're just the tiniest hundredth, a thousandth, whatever, of a degree off, it will lead to, it can make a difference between a sunny day and a tornado. I was reading in this book called Quantum Health, where the author talks about just little tiny changes, and once you make one little change, it leads to another change, and it leads to another change, and it has kind of a ripple effect. And where she talks about just like wearing a bumper sticker or a button could lead to a conversation with somebody that could lead them to think about a cause and lead them to make a life change and lead them to bring others to that cause. And so your choices in your life bring change to other people, and it doesn't just affect you. And so when you choose to recover, those little tiny changes that at first seem like you're doing nothing will eventually it kind of goes like like this in a V, like you start here and it seems like, well, there's no change, but eventually your eating disorder's down here and you become up here and your life becomes something completely different. And that's scary to think about if you've always identified yourself with your eating disorder, which most of us have at one point. But we we feel like our eating disorder somehow puts us in a special category, that it's ours, it's our baby, it's something that we can identify with, and it makes us feel special a lot of the time. And so to give that up, that's a huge thing to give up, and there's a lot of grief that goes with it, and that's normal. And so, yeah, when you have those benefits of an eating disorder, for me the benefits were I didn't have to face my feelings or emotions, and it seemed like I was avoiding them. They were still really biting me in the butt, even though I couldn't see that they were. I had significant weight loss. The side effect was that in order to maintain that weight loss, I had to go more and more extreme, and I was damaging my body and my spirit and my mind in the process. The benefit of recovery is now I've gotten to a point where I can maintain a fairly healthy weight, and I'm not fluctuating all over the place, and I don't have to restrict or binge and purge, or I do, because I am an athlete and I do ultra running. I guess you could say I do quite a bit of exercise, but I'm not doing it in the mindset that I have to do it to burn calories and I have to do it to, change my body. I'm doing it because it's something that is meditative for me. It's something that challenges me, and it's something that makes me become a better person. And I don't do it in the context of I'm going to restrict my calories. I eat what my body needs to eat. I take off if I feel like I need to take days off. I take days off. And so I'm not a slave to food. I'm not a slave to my exercise. I can change my plans without feeling like a complete failure. So, those are the benefits that come with recovery. And really, even though at first it doesn't seem like that, the longer you're in it, the more that you realize that your eating disorder is hollow and will give you nothing except for pain and agony, and it will affect others because of that ripple effect. The worse you get, that will go out and will affect everybody around you, and even if they don't know you, it may affect them. So when you make positive changes, it has the same effect too. So that's not to make people feel guilty, that just gives you something to think about. So that the more positive changes you make in your life, the better you feel, and the less of a slave that you'll feel. And you'll find that the feelings you're avoiding, once you face them, and yes, it will hurt and it will be difficult and you'll need support, but once you face them, you realize, oh, it didn't kill me, and I got over that hump, and now I feel better. And every time you do that, you get better and better. And so it's normal to go through, you know, kind of peaks and valleys with recovery, where you do good for a while and then you do bad for a while, and then good and bad, and eventually you get your good gets higher and your bad doesn't come back so low. And that's how recovery works. So I hope you have a good night, and I hope that answered your question. And I will see you. Happy Monday, even though it's really Tuesday. So